Licensing Board of the City of West Bend. It's March 18th, 2024, and we recognize a quorum of our licensing board here tonight. Our first item of business is approval of the regular meeting licensing board meeting from March 4th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Zingsheim, Alderman Butchlick. Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next item of business is a Class B combo liquor license for Club 140, located at 140 North Main Street in West Bend. This was a previous license holder. Our police department did their due diligence on this, and they have no objections to it. So I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Zingsheim and Butchlick. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and the licensing board is adjourned.
I would like to call to order the Board of Public Works. We have two items on the agenda. Item number one, Board of Public Works regular meeting on March 4th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second. Alderman Model and Alderman Allen. All those any corrections or additions? There are none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number two, award contract 2401 Summit Drive Reconstruction, Oak to Chestnut. Good evening, Max.
Good evening. Thank you. This item is to consider awarding contract 2401 for Summit Drive Reconstruction, which will include upgrading storm sewer facilities, removing and replacing curb and gutter, some spot repair of sidewalk, and installing new asphalt pavement, and then restoring disturbed area. This contract also includes replacing some water laterals in the road because there are still lead pipes in that area. And we had an alternate in the bid in order to replace water laterals outside of the road right away if we were to receive some additional funding for that. So we bid the contract that way to be ready for both options, and hopefully we can do all of it. We received 7 bids for this contract, which are listed in the in the memo. There came much lower than the engineer's cost estimate. In the low bid, I analyzed why the bid came so much lower. We have several items. We noticed in the storm sewer items, all the pipes and the structures are significantly lower than what we estimated. And then for poured concrete, the contractor also had lower unit prices. And finally, in the road base and road pavement, their costs were also lower. All of that, those items account for about $448,000 of the contract, of the difference out of the $565,000. So there are other items where their unit prices are lower. I would say most of their items, their bid items, they have lower unit prices. So this happens sometimes. We see fluctuation with pipe prices or concrete prices from one year to the other. Here, apparently, we hit all the bid items. We do not have another contract with similar items that we awarded earlier. However, we have more contracts coming up, and so it will be interesting to see if we get the same type of prices. All in all, this is good news for us because we're below estimate. Copeland and Keenes, who is the apparent low bidder, has not done work under contract for the city in the past. So I made several phone calls from their references, some consulting firms, some cities and villages for which they have done work in the past few years. Also some contractors for who they were subs on similar contracts. Everything came back with a positive recommendation. They believe they have the equipment and the crews to do the work. They usually perform satisfactory work. So for these reasons, we're recommending to award this contract to Coplin and Keynes for $940,413.33 as specified in their bid, and a contingency fund of $54,586.67, which is about 5.8% of the bid, for a total allocation not to exceed $995,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Allen and Alderman Model. Do we have any questions for Max? Alderman Model.
Just probably kind of a dumb question, Max, but with those lower unit prices, is that ever due to lower quality? Do we have to worry about that?
No, we have our standards that we specify in the contract.
Okay,
and at its inspection times, we got delivery tickets with specification on the labels that we check against our standards. So we make sure we get the proper materials.
Okay, great, thanks, Max.
Alderman Allen.
Max, I noticed you mentioned that the alternate would be handled only if we got additional funding for the lateral replacement program, which has not yet been acted upon. And yet, this bid is fully a third less than what we had anticipated it would be. So is it smart to just go ahead and even though we're authorizing it, to go ahead and proceed on that basis and do the laterals as well?
I would not recommend this because this bid is only for the work to replace the lateral physically in the ground. But the funding program that we were looking at would also cover engineering costs for design of this and inspection of those costs. So this is not the entire funding that we would want if we were to do this work. If we were to award or to do this work with those laterals outside of the right-of-way, then we would need to expend more cost for engineering and inspection on those items.
All right.
I will say this too, is that the cost that the contractor has for this specific item is fairly close to the estimated cost that we were looking at the funding. So we're not really saving on this item, not a huge amount on this item specifically. The huge savings that we have are on other items.
Any other questions? Alderman Sterling.
Well, just a point of clarification then. So the amount that we are looking to award is $940,000, and in the list above it says that's the base plus the alternate. Is the alternate then just the lead water laterals within the road?
No, the alternate is the water laterals outside of the road on private property.
Okay, so then we are in actuality including that in this
In the award, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And what will happen is that if we don't do the work, then we don't pay for work that the contractor doesn't do.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? There are none. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Being no further business before the Board of Public Works, I adjourn as chair.
The Finance Committee is called to order, and we have 5 items on the agenda. Item number 1 is the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of March 4th.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We had a second over here first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Any discussion, any corrections? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, the preliminary 2023 general fund results. Carrie?
Good evening, everyone. I had attached 2 different reports for you, the general fund revenues and also the general fund expense reports for the 4th quarter of 2023. Our annual audit began on March 6th. Overall, we ended the year with a preliminary net surplus of $1,991,217. Interest revenue was over budget in 2023 due to the market and higher interest rates. At the end of the year, we were getting over 5% interest rates on our investments, so that created that. Also, the police and fire departments came in under budget due to open positions in both of those. At the end of 2023, our projected undesignated fund balance compared to the 2024 budget will be at 36.68%. And this is an increase from last year of 32.54%. Are there any questions at all?
Currently, there are no questions, and there is no vote necessary, so
Right.
thanks for the report.
Okay.
The next item is a resolution approving carry forward appropriations from 2023 to 2024.
All right. I had attached multiple different funds for carry forward requests. The largest one is the general fund of $858,248.81. Also funds for the debt service fund that makes up capitalized interest from our recent borrowings to pay the first interest expense payments. Taxi funds for outlay purchases. Room tax fund, $20,000, that's for grants, and the bid fund, $25,000 for the facade grant, and sewer utility of just under $4,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the resolution. Any questions for Carrie or any comments? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 4, award bid for City of West Bend Fire Department Station 3 re-roof contract. Jim?
Good evening. Tonight we're requesting permission from the council to award contract for the fire station number 3 roof replacement. We had 4 bids for that, and development is requesting and recommending that we offer the bid to Higher Ground Roofing. They are the low bid, and they have done previous work for the city and have completed work in satisfactory conditions.
Thank you,
Motion to
Jim.
approve.
Hold on just a moment. Any questions for Jim?
Don't we need a motion on the floor before we entertain questions?
Sure, go ahead.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Yes.
I noticed that the spread between the low bid and the high bid is really substantial. Any reason? I mean, 2 of the bids aren't. I mean, 3 of the bids are sort of in the same neighborhood, and the other one's out in Cohaston.
Yeah, I talked to Todd, our building inspector, who did the bidding for this, and he said he figures that the reason for that high bid was that they just
Didn't want to work.
right.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we have resolution accepting donations to the fire department. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. Thank you. Tonight, I am presenting a resolution for your consideration for the acceptance of 3 generous donations to the fire department. First, I have a $150 donation from Mr. John Kissinger. The donation is targeted for our smoke detector program. The $500 donation from the Susan M. Stracata Trust. We're going to focus that on rescue supplies and equipment. And a $300 donation from Lori Luchswager will be used towards also towards rescue supplies and equipment.
Thank you, Chief. I'll make the motion.
Second.
And there is a second. And we thank everyone who has made those generous donations. Anything else? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
This is a meeting of the Common Council of the City of West Bend. It is Monday, March 18th, 2024, more than 24 hours in advance of this meeting. Notice of the time, place, date, and subject matter of the meeting was posted in accordance to Wisconsin state statutes. I'd like to ask our clerk to confirm this meeting was properly posted.
Yes, it has.
Thank you. I invite you to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We recognize a quorum of our council tonight with Alderman Berquist, excused absent tonight. Our first item of business is approval of our regular meeting, Common Council meeting minutes from March 4th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Butchlick and Alderman Sternig. Any comments, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And thank you, Alderman Butchlick, for chairing that meeting while I was out of town 2 weeks ago. We have a special honor tonight. We've got some state champions in the room, and so I'm going to ask Athletic Director Aaron Felber to introduce this presentation for us.
Hello, thank you so much for having us tonight. I am one incredibly proud athletic director, and I'm going to have our head coach, Aaron Spaeth, come up and talk about our 3 state champions in the room. Come on up. You guys can come too. Maybe stand back here.
All right, I just want to say, I want to start out by saying thank you for taking time out of your meeting. These guys are pretty humble, I'll be honest with you in that, but they definitely deserve this recognition. So I'll start out with a little bit about the team. The West Wrestling team had a very exciting year. The team finished 3rd at conference and were regional runners-up. And really, these were our core leaders here. So we have Ethan Bast, Cole Marisola, and then at the end, Connor Marisola. So, as Mrs. Felber kind of hinted, we all 3 of these athletes qualified for the state tournament, and as a group, they kind of sat down, and each one of them kind of had the exact same goal, and that was to come home as the state champions. So we'll start off with just a couple short words about each athlete. We'll start with Ethan Bast. Ethan wrestled at the 113-pound weight class, and between his sophomore and junior seasons, he put in a lot of time outside of our traditional wrestling season to improve on his skill and craft, and it resulted in a really strong season for Ethan. So he finished with a record of 54 wins and 4 losses, and he won his very first state championship. Ethan is a junior, so we really look forward to seeing what he does with his senior season. Next up, we have Cole Marisola. Cole qualified for the state tournament for the 4th consecutive year. He ended the season with a 51-1 record and won his 3rd straight state title. Cole is graduating this year and moving on to Penn State University. As a Spartan wrestler, Cole had a very historic career. He finished with 172 career wins and only 7 losses, and has had over 83 pins in his career. And last but not least, Connor Marisola. Connor finished the season with a perfect 51-0 record and won his 4th straight state championship. Connor is only one of 28 other wrestlers in the state of Wisconsin to join this elite group of 4-time state champions. He has a career record of 174 wins and only 4 losses, and has never lost to a Wisconsin opponent. Just like his brother, Connor will continue his academic and athletic career at Penn State University. I'll be honest, wrestling's kind of what we call a niche sport. If you're not around it, you don't always understand how it's scored, and who's winning and who's losing. But these guys coach all year, I honestly, even if you weren't a fan of the sport, when they took the mat, you kind of knew who was winning. They were in control from start to finish, and it's all because of the work that they put in. There are so many levels and components that go into being a successful wrestler, and these guys embodied all of it. So there's nutrition. You can't really be great at this sport without, eating the right things and making sure that you're getting enough sleep and resting your bodies when it tells you to. But those are things that as a high schooler you don't always listen to. There's hard training. You know, we have to work on strength, so they're dedicated in the weight room. But also there's that cardio factor where if your cardio is not where it needs to be, you can lose matches that way. So what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of ways to lose in this sport. And it takes a tremendous amount of effort, and it takes a tremendous amount of consistency with all these little components to have the level of success that they have. And to have multiple state champions from West Bend is one thing, and then we have some that have done it for year and year and year. It's just really a remarkable, it's truly remarkable, and I'm so proud that they were successful wrestlers, but when they put on that West Bend singlet, they were also representing the city in very positive ways. When they won, they did it with humility, and when they lost, they knew that, you know, we got to walk off like, you know, with good sportsmanship. So they did it all. They truly are a historic group of wrestlers. And last thing I'll kind of say is we went in with only 3 wrestlers at the state tournament. There were teams with more qualifiers than us. Some had 8, 9. I think the most this year was 10. But these 3 individuals, they, as a team of 3, finished second in the team point standings, only to the team that won the individual, but then that team also won the team tournament as well. So truly remarkable, but I can't say that I'm surprised because I got to witness the amount of work that they put in firsthand. Thank you again for recognizing the very, very important athletes.
I'd like to ask our council if you would come right down here and have the wrestlers come up. We'd like to take a picture with you.
Get in there. Does that ever get to the point of wrestling?
These guys have already won trophies and awards bigger than what I just handed them. But it means a lot to us, and like your coach said, if you saw the pictures, their singlets say West Bend on them. I know sometimes they say Spartans on them, but when the parents and the coaches, when they walk through that arena in Madison with West Bend shirts on, parents around the state say, "You're from West Bend," and it's because of these guys. The Bass and the Marisolas have been wrestling for a long time together. I know Ethan's older brother Ben wrestled with these guys just last year. He graduated. He was a state champion. I remember on the school board, Coach had to come and get approval to allow these guys to wrestle outside of the state of Wisconsin because the competition was, as you heard, they were beating everybody and they needed bigger and better competition. So on behalf of all of us, the city, and all of our residents and constituents, we are so proud of you and way to represent, not just on the mat, but you guys are good kids. And when I see you up at the high school, you're always so kind and dedicated to your studies and being kind to people around you, and you represent well. So again, congratulations. Look at Mom. That's the most important. Awesome. Good luck with Penn State. Good luck your senior year. See you back here next year. Good luck. Good luck. Thanks for doing good. Good luck. Congratulations. Good luck. I tried. All right, we're going to move on to our next presentation tonight, and this is a downtown streetscape master plan update from our private sector leaders who have been partners with us on this project. So I'm going to introduce Peter Ziegler, and I see Claire Rolfs is with him tonight too. But Peter, thank you for being here, and thank you for coming to update us on this important project.
Oh, good evening. and thank you for allowing us a few minutes to give you an update. That's a tough act to follow. I guess what we're talking about here is trying to make downtown West Bend state champion as well. But I am here representing the private sector. Claire Rouse is here. You saw Claire and Kevin Steiner here a month ago for an update, and that's what I'm going to do now. Just to refresh the council very quickly, the private sector came to the city over a year ago and proposed that in addition to the paving of the downtown Main Street and the sidewalks, that the city create a vision and a strategic plan that looks out 20 years for the city of West Bend. And to do that, we collectively retained Grafe and Associates to do that work. It took a good amount of time, but it was very well worthwhile. You've seen the results of that work, and as you know, the private sector stepped up for $111,000 to pay for that work. The result was a master plan, the 20-year plan, and the Streetscape plan, which is the short-term plan. The master plan is really a long-term vision of not just Main Street itself, but the greater Main Street area, which extends down to Regner Park on the north, all the way up to 8th Avenue, including the Cultural District to the west, down to Chestnut on the south, and Indiana Street on the east side. In addition to that, the Streetscape plan is really the 1 to 3 year vision. We wanted to get some traction on the ground and get some things done now that the paving is done downtown. And as you generously and unanimously approved and adopted at your February 19th meeting, both the long-term master plan and the Streetscape plan. I think everyone here tonight, and certainly everyone we've talked to in the private sector, would agree that the paving of the downtown area, the street and the sidewalks has made a substantial improvement, but it's still rather stark. And our objective in the short-term plan is to bring some life to that starkness. And in working with Grafe and the city, we have finalized plans to green up downtown, and we want to get it done this spring and this summer. The private sector with the city walked every foot from 33 on the north, both sides of the street, to the south end at Walnut and Veterans Avenue. And we had with us the life-size cutouts of the planters that we've ordered, including the large 72-inch planters, which will accommodate 8 to 10 foot trees when they're planted, and hopefully they'll grow another 6-7 feet from there. We did that so that we could aesthetically maximize the impact of what we were purchasing, as well as make sure we were accommodating the business owners and to make sure that they were safely put for pedestrian traffic in the downtown area as well. So we ended up ordering over 100 planters, 32 72-inchers, which I'm told by Mike, when they're all planted, these things could weigh 4 tons, so they shouldn't blow over. And 71 smaller planters in various sizes, shapes, and heights that will be strategically located in the downtown area as well. In addition to the planters, every other new street pole downtown, light street pole, will have hanging plants, flowers, like you've seen in the past. And the ones that don't have the hanging flowers will have the what do you call them, the art banners, the art walk banners, and then all the poles will have American flags. At your February 19th meeting, we didn't have the final costs. Believe it or not, in today's inflation, they came in a little lower than what we'd had been expected to see. The total cost of the pots and the planters, the pots being for the trees, the planters for shrubs and flowers and grasses and hopefully perennials, the materials that are going to be planted in those pots, plus the hanging baskets, and then Grafe's work to help design all this, came in at $390,000. In order to get this done during this growing season, we had some time constraints in terms of placing the orders. If we didn't get them in before the middle, late February timeframe. It was really late February. We weren't going to be able to get delivery in early May so we could get these things planted. So we didn't have time to get to the council. We stepped up as the private sector and made a payment to the two vendors of $170,000 to get the planters and the pots ordered. We did so with the understanding that a memorandum of understanding would be executed between the city and the private sector, which will outline, and I've got a copy of it, which I'll leave tonight, what each party will contribute to this partnership. And while this MOU has been verbalized to the city staff and the mayor, we just didn't have time to get it to the council in time to ask for the city's contribution on this. So the bones are in place for the downtown. You know, we have the opportunity now to create a wow factor downtown. We have the opportunity to show our citizens and visitors to this city that we've got a vibrant downtown, and like it or not, cities are judged by the vibrancy and the livelihood of their downtown. So we have the opportunity here to do something really special. So with this all said and done, the private sector will have contributed $400,000 to this project. We are asking the city, in the true spirit of a public-private partnership, to contribute 1/4 of what we will contribute. That is $100,000 plus a permanent $25,000 fund, so that as things need replacing, which eventually will happen in these pots, there's money to do that, and they don't go empty like we saw 10 years ago when things weren't being replanted and weren't being taken care of. This is in addition to the city having the responsibility for the planting and the maintenance and the watering of all these plantings. And we also ask the city not to solicit funds from the private sector to cover what we think should be their share. You know, we've been doing fundraising in the community, and we'll continue to do that, and we don't want to duplicate that. And like all good strategic and master plans, they're only as good as the execution of those plans. The last thing I think anybody here wants to see happen is for the substantial investment to sit on the shelf and not be executed. So part of the memorandum of understanding is, and you've approved and adopted that, is that there will be accountability for setting goals, having action steps against those goals, and outcomes of those action steps with timeframes outlined and submitted by staff to the council, and then reported to on those outcomes and the timeliness of those outcomes to the council on a monthly basis. It's just critically important with the substantial investments that we're all making in this downtown area that there be some accountability. So we're not asking for action on this evening, but this is truly what we hope is a successful public-private partnership. And we'd hope that at your April 1st meeting, you'll come up with what we've asked for this evening to make this a success. With that, I'm certainly open to any questions.
Alderman Dolnick. Dolnick. Jed Dolnick, please.
John Smith, if you want.
Well, I always have a fear of calling you guys the wrong names, and so I apologize for that. Alderman Dolnick, I should have been more confident at first.
I agree with you on the premise that the downtown needs greenery. And I know that you've given us, I'm sure, a condensed version of a very long story. So what I need to know is, did anyone in the Parks Department approve of what is going in down, what you're doing? Because normally Parks...
I could say that Mike walked on that very cold day for almost 3 hours up and down Main Street, and we give and take a little bit to try to accommodate certainly the business owners and what we thought was right for the city. When we say approval, I'll let Mike address that.
Sure. Good evening. The Parks Department, we have been involved in this process. Like Peter had just mentioned, we've been part of some of the discussions, the on-site review, meeting with some of the business owners and building owners in the downtown. So we have been involved, yes.
I understand you're involved. I mean, when I hear about these mammoth
Sure.
planters, all I'm asking is your department okay with this? Is it sustainable down in this environment? Is this practical?
So, okay, so I look at that question as two parts. Sustainable, my background, the one thing we worry about are, will the trees survive, will the plants survive, what will it look like, things like that. Yes, this will work. These pots will work. The size of the pots, excuse me, will work. The smaller planters we always call it accessory vegetation, so perennials, annual shrubs, whatever might be planted in those. This project and how we're going about it should be very successful. Yes, as far as plant material goes, we work with local nurseries for our tree choices. They understand our environment, what we're trying to do, what our goals are down there. So we've selected certain tree species that should fare fairly well down there. Our project manager is actually going to a grower's nursery tomorrow to talk about different accessory vegetation that we want to use in this environment, annuals, things like that. So it is successful. I look at the other half of your question is sustainable as far as maintenance goes. We have been working with the bid district as far as maintenance and irrigation. The hanging pots are nothing new to the bid district as far as irrigating and maintenance on those. Same with these planters. At the last bid board meeting, there was some discussion on it. It's going to be reviewed again at the next one. Excuse me. Again, we've already met with the local contractor to talk about some of those irrigation needs. That's one of our biggest concerns through this entire process to make this successful is we got to make sure we put enough water down. And, and that's going to take time. It's going to take labor, it's going to take equipment and timing, et cetera. So if our plan works, and I'm very confident it will, I think it should be very successful. So, thank you.
Yeah, and I'd add to this, Mike hasn't seen the memorandum of understanding yet, but one of the conditions is that there will be mutual agreement between the private sector and the city as to what's planted, and we've had discussions with consultants beyond Mike's department, but in the end, there's got to be agreement between us so that in the private sector, we want to have some uniformity. We don't know what that means yet in terms of the kind of trees we're going to put in. We've been talking to a lot of people, and we're kind of honing in on that. And we want trees that are going to last a long time. We know in a pot they aren't going to last forever. But we will work with Mike's department. That's part of the memorandum of understanding.
Alderman Butchlick.
I guess this question would be for Mike. Has Public Works Director Doug Newman been advised of what the planters and that positions of them? Because of their snow removal for downtown, is there going to be any problems with those in the way? I know they're going to be not in the street, but as far as where they store the snow and that during the wintertime, has Doug been informed of that, or is he going to be informed once?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So operationally, I can tell you our department's been involved. Doug, our Public Works Department has been involved. They'd seen the final plans, the location, things like that. It's not just pots and planters. We also have to move some trash receptacles and benches and bike racks and all that. Public Works is going to assist us in some of that. Instead of just all the work kind of landing on our department, Public Works is going to take care of some of those other items for us during this process. So it's not just, we don't just have our blinders on and just communicating with ourselves or between us and admin. We're all involved. We have a good understanding as to what's going on. City engineer, we've shared the plans with Max as to what we want to do, where we're going to place some of these things. Snow storage is part of the discussion, John, not only for our Public Works Department, but if I own a building downtown and it snows, I need to shovel the sidewalk and put the snow somewhere. So we've walked through those scenarios. Even our wheel loaders that they use downtown, the counterweight sticks out beyond the rear axle. So when they make some of those turns, we don't want the pots right up against the curb. Mm-hmm. That's all been part of the discussion. And just even locating door swings and all that stuff. When people park, they want to get in and out of their vehicles, if they have packages and all that. So we try to take all of that into consideration. And like I'd mentioned, meeting with the business owners when we were doing, I'll say, our final walkthrough I think we spoke with most of the business owners and most of the building owners, either at that walkthrough or another later date. We met with some of them. So we're trying to look at all the factors that are associated with this. Because again, as was mentioned, we put these in place. What our plan is, we want to put the pots under empty, let them sit for like a week. So if we need to do a little adjustment or a little movement, things like that, because once we fill them, a 4-ton planter doesn't move. So that's, we just can't physically move it at that point in time. So when we do it, we want to make sure things are being done correctly.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Yep, thank you.
The key is the communications like you have been doing with everybody, and that's the key. And that's
Right.
what's going to make this thing very successful.
Sure, and and even the work, even to put the planters in and put the soil in and all that stuff, it's going to be early hours to get in and out before it's busy. But again, we want to put the plant, let everyone know, hey, we're coming. Here's our estimated date on some of these deliveries and timelines and things like that. We don't have that information yet, but we will as we get closer. And like I said, even the pots, we'll probably put them down there empty for a couple of days. So someone, hey, I want to try and get 2 tables out in front of my restaurant. Could we move this a little bit or something like that? We want to accommodate everyone's wants and needs. So.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you very, very much for your presentation tonight. This is not an action item tonight. It'll be on a future meeting agenda item, and it will be something I will bring forward and ask for your support and approval on. This public-private partnership that Mr. Ziegler talked about, in my opinion, is something that cities of our size would die for, to be honest with you. And our downtown looks great. It really looks nice, new, clean, fresh. It looks great. This private sector group came and started working with the city on trying to make the downtown beautiful. And I think this plan will accomplish that. I think the ask is reasonable as far as what they have generously contributed to the project. And so it has my full support. I will be bringing it forward in a future meeting for your approval, and I will ask for your support. So thank you very much. We'll move on to our consent agenda tonight, items 3 through 7. Briefly, a Class B combo liquor license, the contract for Summit Drive Reconstruction, approving the carry forward appropriations, the city Station 3 re-roof contract, and the resolution accepting donations to the fire department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll take the motion from Alderman Model and the second from Alderman Sternig, since I heard you the loudest. Any comments, questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda carries. We'll move on to our action items tonight. Mr. Renke is going to take us through these. A resolution approving a 2-lot certified survey map and accepting right-of-way dedication for South Main Street, located at the southeast corner of South Main and West Progress Drive.
Thank you. I'm asking council tonight for the acceptance and the approval of the resolution. This actually dedicates right-of-way for the South Main Street, 50-foot half right-of-way. This will help facilitate the reconstruction of that portion of South Main Street.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Dolnick and Alderman Sparts. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next item is resolution approving a 2-lot certified survey map and accepting right-of-way dedication for Sand Drive, located at the southwest corner of East Decorah Road and Sand Drive.
Thank you. This resolution, again, is to facilitate the redevelopment of that corner. This is to actually acquire that 40-foot half right-of-way for the west side of Sand Drive.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Allen and Alderman Zingsheim. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
I would like to cover our 2 reports tonight before we go into closed session. Our first being a report from the downtown bid board meeting.
Bid board met on Tuesday, March 5th at 8:15 a.m. right here in City Hall. In the council chambers. We reviewed and approved the previous meeting minutes as well as the financial report. We had an excellent report on the downtown parking regulations and how the regulations have been worked how the regulations have worked out from Chief Daring. Thank you, Chief. We also had a discussion that wasn't agendaed, but sort of followed logically on sidewalk displays and outdoor food and beverage permits, just as an informational item. We talked about sidewalk display licenses for people that put out merchandise on a temporary basis in front of their business during operating hours, and that permit is available for $30, and I think it's for 2 years. And then annual permits for sidewalk cafes and extension of premise, which are issued annually at $10. And then we had a further discussion on signage. It was mentioned that that people could put A-frames in front of their businesses to indicate sales or presence and so on. And then finally, we had a heated discussion, or a vigorous discussion on downtown landscaping. We were presented with the Grafe plan, master plan, as well as discussing plans to water and maintain the plants as they come in. Because we did not have final, we had nothing to act on because the contractor for that had not provided a plan yet. The entire issue was carried over for the next meeting, which will be on Tuesday, April 2nd in a new location. Annually, we have the bid meeting in April on at the West Bend School District office on 735 South Main, again at 8:15 in the morning. We do that because there is voting taking place here in City Hall. I would remind you to get out and vote on April 2nd. And after you vote on April 2nd, you can come down and watch the bid meeting at the school district office.
Good, thank you.
Any questions?
Yes. Can you describe just a little bit what was vigorous about that part of the discussion? Just in real short.
Yeah, it was, there were members of the bid board that were sort of getting some sticker shock over what it's going to cost to do the maintenance compared to previous years.
Okay.
And again, we didn't have anything firm, just kind of some throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks kind of estimates. And so we basically took that issue and said, this will carry forward into next meeting.
Any other questions? And our Plan Commission meeting from 2 weeks ago.
Plan Commission met on March 5th. It was a long meeting, at least longer than we've become accustomed to, which is good. And we had a lot of interesting items. There's going to be a new small industrial building located, actually 4 buildings containing 16 units, south side of Progress Drive, east of South Main Street. Sometimes they're referred to as incubator, so businesses starting out. We had a site plan which we approved for a 40,000 square foot addition and parking lot addition to Moraine Park, which is the result of the referendum. Which
Really
was,
nice looking addition.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah,
we were all impressed by that.
Really nice looking. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up, Justice. And then we had a long discussion about developments on Sand Drive. Site plans were ultimately approved. A development of 8 multifamily buildings totaling 51 units south of Decorah on the west side of Sand Drive. That's going to be known as Iron Horse Commons. And then a 78-unit apartment building on the corner of Sand and Decorah which will be known as Decorah Flats. Those are the first developments along what will be the new and improved sand drive. The commission pretty much felt that given the topography, the constraints of those parcels, it's mixed-use zoning. It was either going to be multifamily or commercial, and so this was appropriate for the constraints of those parcels.
Very good. Any questions?
I'd just like to add that there was a lot of discussion about the density and concern about additional residential apartments being brought in. We did really grill these guys about that, and based on what Jed just said, the concerns were met.
Good. Yes, Alderman Allen.
I was just going to make a comment about those two potential properties. There were some pictures put out in the paper, and those also look like they'll be nice additions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point, Mark. Yep, they do.
So,
any other announcements? I know our Chamber of Commerce is hosting a candidate forum right here in this room on Wednesday night that starts at, help me out. It's 5
o'clock for the first group, I believe.
And Clerk, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but I saw all the voting booths out in the hallway. Could you tell us a little bit about early voting and maybe the hours and what you need to remember to bring with you to come do that?
Absolutely. In-person absentee voting starts tomorrow at City Hall, 8 a.m. until 4:30, Monday through Friday this week, and next week, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 on that last Friday, which is Good Friday. You can also register to vote in the clerk's office only at this time, and then the last time to register to vote would be at the polling location. Photo ID is still required, so just that, and unless you need to register, then you also need proof of residency if the driver license or photo ID does not have a current address.
And just a quick question that my mom actually had. I wasn't sure what the answer was. She got a mail-in ballot. Those, once they get them, they can fill them out and bring them in, right?
Right now, the person who has the absentee ballot has to bring it in themselves.
No, I understand that, but they don't have to wait for a certain date.
Correct.
Okay.
You do not have to
That's
wait
what I
if you
thought.
have a absentee ballot already. No drop boxes still, so you have to bring it in person or mail it. And we will continue to send out requests for absentee by mail up until Thursday, March 28th is the deadline to request one by mail.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? If not, we have an item appropriate for closed session tonight. I'll entertain a motion on that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Model and Alderman Sternig, and I do need to read this. This is a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.851G, which is conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. In particular, it's an update on property tax challenges and review assessment claims. We've got a motion and a second on the floor, and I will call the roll. Alderman Sparts.
Aye.
Alderman Zingsheim.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Butchlick.
Aye.
Alderman Model.
Aye.
Alderman Sternig.
Aye.
And Alderman Dolnick.
Aye.
Great. We are now adjourned into closed session. We do anticipate reconvening just very briefly after this closed session. There will be no more announcements or reports or anything. We've taken care of that, but we are adjourned. Thank you. Here on Monday, March 18th, it is 10 minutes after 8 o'clock. We've reconvened from closed session, and I will entertain a motion from our closed session.
I'd like to move that we deny refund claim for 2023 unlawful tax from Benevolent Corporation,
Second.
Cedar Community.
Thank you, Alderman Allen, and a second by Alderman Model. Any further comments, questions, discussion?
I'd like to
Yes, Alderman Allen.
I'd like to thank our assessor's office for the fine job they've done throughout the year. This has been a difficult year with all the reassessments, and I think they've done an outstanding job.
I agree.
Excuse me.
Thank you very much for that, and you're absolutely right. That team did a great job throughout the reassessment last year and the board of review process, so thank you for that comment. Any other comments? There's a motion and a second. I believe we can take this just as a normal vote. Doesn't need to be a roll call, correct?
Correct.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. With no further business before our common council tonight, we are adjourned. Thanks.